Wasn't expecting to make a speech, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my time on the city commission. This has been, it's kind of a bittersweet day for me because I hate to leave, but it also opens up the next chapter of my life, which going back to school, broadening myself and concentrating on my civilian job for a while. But I have some comments for the other commissioners. Sandy, it has been an honor to work with you. You've been a great addition to the commission. So glad that you got appointed and reelected. Your insight, your community involvement, the way that you always think of the community first is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry, working with you has been a pleasure. You've taught me so much. It's, sorry. Things are so unexpected, like the friendships that I've had through here. And you're one of them. You're somebody that I feel like I could always ask for guidance and support, and you've taught me more than you can ever imagine. James, you and I are more typically on the same side of things. So it's been an honor to have a colleague that I can talk to, and you've also helped me broaden myself, and I see things differently from working with you, and giving me a different perspective on things. Sean, I want to thank you. Like you said, we've not always been on the same side of votes, but if we all thought alike, I love this. This is Sandy Jacobs' quote, not mine, but I'm going to steal it. If we all thought alike, you wouldn't need 5 of us up here. So it's being on a different side is not necessarily a bad thing. I do think that everybody up here thinks of community first. What that means to each of us may be a little different, and that's why all votes aren't 5-0, but we do represent our constituents, and we represent our ideals and what we think we got voted in to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
To the staff, Toby, Jacob, Andrea, all the department heads. This is such a well-ran city. We don't get, as a commissioner, we don't get the emails that you would think we do. We don't get the phone calls that you think that we would. To the city being such well-ran. When it comes to the budget cycle, and part of what I ran on is being a money man and being able to dig deep into the budgets, but we can critique the budgets all the time, but the city staff has already done that. They've cut excess expenses. When you're paying cash for $4 million street projects, that's attributed to what the staff and the departments do. You make our jobs very, very easy, and I do appreciate that. As I know everybody up here does, because we don't get the nasty phone calls and the nasty emails that you would think that we would, but our jobs are easy. As far as my service goes, I feel very lucky to have been voted in by the people. I ran on an agenda, which I think that I did what I said I was going to do. I brought things forward that I ran on. Not all of them passed, but at least I tried. And I think I represented the people who It supported me and the constituents that voted for me wanted done at the time. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Commissioner, there are 3 qualities I like about you. I mentioned one last week. The first is you put your family first. And I see your mom, and it's amazing that she could come, and she's always at home here. And I'm so proud of you that you have that great connection with your family, and you include them in your decisions. I also appreciate the fact that you are brutally honest with us. You know exactly where you're going to stand on an issue. And so there's no surprises. And sometimes we serve with people, none here, who think about what they're going to do next in life and how this will launch them. And that's not a lot of fun. You are upfront and honest, and I like that. But the third thing that you bring, and the most important, is you never took no for an answer. So Sunday sales, well, that failed once. You didn't say no. You moved ahead. Everything that you've done, you've never taken no for an answer. That persistence and your engagement, those are the keys to success in life. Thank you.
I just will make one comment. I said my comments last week and got through it without getting too emotional, but when you think of a man of character and integrity, the first person that comes to my mind is Lance Jones. He's done what he said he would do. I have gotten to know him since he ran for office, and there's not a finer gentleman that I would have rather served with. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate being able to get to know you for the past 2+ years. I have to say that honestly, you're probably a person that were it not for the city, I would not have ever come across you. We would have never gotten to know each other. And that's a tragedy because I really have enjoyed my time with you. So you may be getting off here, but I hope that this isn't the last that I hear from you or that I interact with you. I'm kind of a little bit upset because we do fall on the same side so often. I feel as though I'm losing an ally. But in any case, appreciate your service here, appreciate your service to our country. If everybody in our military is like you, we really don't have too much to worry about.
I'll just add, like I said earlier, many times we were on opposite sides, but I've also ran into many people in the community that absolutely agree with what you brought forward. So, it opened my eyes, and I appreciate that. I mean, just because I maybe voted against you doesn't mean that, at the end you're like, I think maybe he was right. And so I, it's good. It's a good learning for me too, and that's, I've been very lucky to serve with some, people that have been on here for many years, and then, with the current commission, pretty new, but it's been good. And I enjoyed, serving with you, and I truly wish you the best. And I think both of us are making Western Kansas look very good, and I think our family and friends out there are very proud of us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One last alibi. Chris Dinkle, I've gotten to know you since you've been elected, and I want to welcome you to take my seat. You're going to do very good up here, and I'm glad you ran, and the city's going to be lucky to have you, and good luck. You have my phone number if you ever need to have questions. Thank you.
That was a you, and Chris. Just come right up there.
Thank you. Don't be a stranger.
I haven't been to see.
See you.
Thank you.
If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner
of the City of Hays, Kansas,
of the City of Hays, Kansas,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Nope, I move.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not
Sit where
yet.
you are.
Not yet.
I think so.
You're good.
After you do the nominations of the mayor and vice mayor. So now I can do that. Okay. I will Make a motion, James Meyer to be the next mayor of the city of Hayes.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Passes 5-0.
And I would make a motion that Commissioner Henry Schwaller serve as the next vice mayor of the city of Hayes.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 5-0.
It's musical chairs. Just takes a minute.
That's us.
Now we'll do you.
Step closer to the water.
Indeed.
I'm going to present this plaque to Sean Musel, who has valiantly served as this mayor of the city of Hayes for the past 16 months. It's been an honor to serve with you. It will continue to be an honor to serve with you. It's been a fine job. I think that everybody here is very appreciative of your time that you've served. I will say this, that Sean is not afraid to talk to anybody. He is friends with everybody, and he tries very hard to represent his community and do what's best for it. And I'm appreciative of it. I think that the community is appreciative of it. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Hey, you were just here for the festivities and don't want to stay for the business. This is your opportunity. Exit stage left. Unless you have citizen comments on non-agenda items, then you may come forward.
Literally, the life is being drained from this room as we speak. Mr. Mayor, may I go with them?
You may not.
As long as we stay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, seeing no citizen comments, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The only item on there is the city commission rules of procedure, which was discussed last week. Is there any comment or?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Go ahead.
Motion by Commissioner Swaller, second by Commissioner Jacobs. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item is the Hayes Rec Commission pool reimbursement request.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. Last week we had a joint meeting, Hayes Rec, City of Hayes joint meeting. One of the items discussed was the pool financial situation. One of the items that we discuss each and every year. Hayes Rec has come forward with a request again this year for payment. And I want to go over a few things before we get to the amounts and all those sort of things. I want to kind of go over some slides here. Our attendance was down this year. This shows the 2017 down back to 2015 attendance. One of the interesting things about attendance that we talked about was how it relates to temperatures. And 2017 was kind of a weird year for the pool. We had good rains. June and August we had cool opening temperatures. These are temperatures reflecting at noon. So you can kind of see the trend there across the board. The weather does play a big part in our attendance at the aquatic park, and is a part of the reason why the request this year is a little larger than last year. This particular chart here shows the attendance from 2000 to 2017, all the years there. As you can see, we're kind of on a downhill trend. We did make some comments last week about adding some new features at the pool, so I hope that we can get moving forward with that. I'll be bringing that back to the commission for review. I think that'll really help us down there. Wilson Pool's kind of holding its own. This column here is the reimbursement history to the Hayes Recreation Commission since 2000. And then, of course, the final column here is the annual cost to the city. This is what comes out of our general fund to fund the pool. And I might mention for 2017, we're up a little bit because we had quite a few projects that were going on down there, one of which was the staining in the ceiling. So that's why that number's reflecting a little bit higher this year. The total loss for the Hayes Rec on their side of things, the total loss that they experienced this year was $54,519.39. By contract, the city and Hayes Rec share 50-50 those losses, up to a stop loss of $26,000 for the Hayes Recreation Commission. So they did meet their stop loss this year of $26,000 and are requesting to be reimbursed $28,519.39. And that is our recommendation, that we go ahead and approve that.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the pool reimbursement request from the Hayes Rec Commission for the 2017 pool loss in the amount of $28,519.39, funding from the contractual services line item of the 2017 general fund pool budget.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schwaller, second by Commissioner Dinkel.
When the pool was built in the 1990s, the public was told that this would be a moneymaker. And from the first year, it is not. And the reason it isn't is because we are providing a service to the community that no one else will provide. And it's an amazing community service that not only benefits Ellis County, but the surrounding counties as well. Many of the features of the pool, the boilers, the pumps, were not projected to last more than 10 years. We're now in its 17th year. So it is not uncommon for the cost of maintaining a pool to go up, and they will continue to go up. Regarding the attendance, we have a lot of ideas about how to boost attendance and boost revenue, and we'll deal with that. Luckily, Mr. Boyle, how much money do we have in the bank?
$321,000 in pool sales tax reserves.
So we've been very diligent as a commission and city staff and the HRC and Parks Department in not spending that money from the very beginning. So we can continue to make those improvements and cover those losses for quite some time. And I just appreciate city staff's leadership on this.
From my perspective, as I've mentioned before, this is a quality of life issue, and in my books, it's the top half of those quality of life issues. Our kids enjoy it. It's something for the kids to do in the summertime. And as Commissioner Schwaller said, we have been diligent. There have been a lot of things that probably could have been done sooner, but we're excited to see what you might bring forward for the future.
I definitely agree. It's a quality of life, and I think we have a great pool. It's a great place to go in the summertime. But I know I was on the outside on this last week, but I truly believe it's time to consider a raise on the rates. I know it wouldn't make up for that, but I think it's time, and I don't think we'd be out of the ballpark if you look at the numbers, throughout the region. But it's, that would be a commission decision. I think last week we basically decided we didn't want to do that. So just an opinion.
Have you put in a request for a warmer summer?
I wish it was that simple. I'd
With
make
lots of
it
rain.
105 every day.
Lots of rain, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Next item is Service Division Dump Truck Award of Bid.
Good evening, Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. Welcome Commissioner Dinkel to the Commission. The 2018 budget, City Hayes budget, had included funds to purchase a new dump truck for the Service Division. City staff solicited bids for a single axle, 5 cubic yard dump truck, complete with the snow plow and salt spreader. Here you can see the picture of the existing 1997 truck that will be replaced. Is a single axle 5 cubic yard dump truck. It's one of 6 Service Division dump trucks equipped with the snowplow currently, as well as used for general construction and maintenance operations on a day-to-day basis. This particular truck is just worn out after being in service for just over 20 years, and it has accumulated just over 120,000 hard miles. This truck will likely be sold at auction once the new truck arrives. The proposed truck that we had bid out and spec'd will be identical to this truck you see in the picture, which was purchased in late 2017, put into service November of 17. This particular truck was purchased for a price of $139,151, just but less than $300 or so less than the truck we're talking about tonight. 3 qualified bids were opened on December 12th of 2017 for this new truck. The low bid, which includes the truck, the dump bed, plow, and spreader as specified in the bids, is from Summit Truck Group of Salina at the price of $139,411. The fleet replacement schedule in the 2018 budget did include $165,000 for the replacement of the existing Service Division dump truck. The low bid of $139,411 is obviously well below the budgeted amount. I do want to make one correction. It says funded out of new equipment reserve. This actually comes out of, oh yeah, that is correct. I think last week I had said solid waste reserve. This one actually comes out of new equipment reserve. So. Options on this particular agenda item: accept the bid from Summit Truck Group, reject all bids, or direct staff to another option. With that, I would take any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid for purchase of a new International 7400 truck with Henderson bed, Monroe 11-foot snow plow, and Henderson 5.6 cubic yard stainless steel spreader from Summit Truck Group of Salina in the amount of $139,411 we funded out of the new equipment reserve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Swaller, second by Commissioner Musil. Discussion?
It is very tempting, and I know this is a new and old commissioner, to say that there may be another bid that we want to take rather than the low bid. And in fact, by state law, we're not obligated to take the low bid. It is a policy, though, that we follow because we know that staff, looking at the information provided us, was very diligent in speccing a particular truck that they wanted. And we did receive 3 bids with 3 different brands of trucks: International, Peterbilt, and the other one I can't recall, but that's not relevant. All of these businesses, well, 2 of the businesses have Hayes connections. The low bidder actually works with LDI or Lang Diesel, and one of the other bidders has a branch here. We, however, are not here to serve the businesses, but the residents, and we have to spend their money very wisely. That's why we're going with this low bid for this very fine truck.
You know, Commissioner Swaller, when I first got on the commission, one of the first things we did, we had something just like this. It was a lot closer, and I argued we should take the, local bid. And I had many residents come up to me in the community and said, don't start doing that, because I think, we'd start paying higher if we put in a local clause for local bid. So I was kind of had my eyes, open when I had many people come up to me and tell me that. So I kind of agree with what you're saying. It was a lesson learned for me.
Yeah, it would stop the bidding process for all intents and purposes if we had any process by which to allow local people back in. I think the way we do it is fair and equitable in the way it should be, and I agree with Commissioner Schwaller.
Now, last time you'd said something, well, the recycling truck that's up tonight as well is the same International 7400.
Correct.
How many of those trucks do we have in the fleet? Because the idea is that it's easier to work on them if they're all kind of standardized.
Of this particular model International truck, we have 2 currently. One put in service in 2015, or late 15, early 16, and then the dump truck in 2017. So this would make, assuming these 2 items are approved tonight, this would be 4 of the identical trucks.
Okay. Thanks.
So I agree with the other commissioners. I think a prime example of why we take the low bid was 8th Street and the bids that we had from Morgan Brothers versus APAC, which APAC being here in town, Morgan Brothers being down in La Crosse, and 2 bids that were, for all intents and purposes, almost identical. There wasn't that much difference between them, although one was for asphalt, the local bid was for asphalt, the bid from La Crosse was for concrete, and it was slightly lower, and we did go with that lower bid. And if it was just about buying the truck, I think we would all be saying something different, but as everybody else has said, there's consequences to taking a local bid, even though it's higher than your lower bid, and the consequences are further down the road when people who are bidding figure that out. And I think that we saw the fruits of that then when we had an extremely underbid for 9th Street
Right.
down in the new addition from APAC. And I think that APAC took it to heart, the bid, and understood the process and sharpened their pencil, and the taxpayers benefited because of it. So nobody's going to say that out loud, but that's how I'm going to interpret those bids, and it's the reason why we should be taking the low bid. So call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Next item, Solid Waste Division Recycling Truck, awarded bid.
So also with this truck, the 2018 budget did include funds to purchase a new recycling truck for the solid waste division. Bids were solicited for, again, a single axle, 2-compartment recycling truck to replace the existing 2002 tandem axle 3-compartment truck. The existing truck, as shown in the picture here, used for recycling purposes, is a 2002 Mack 3-compartment. This truck is one of 2 solid waste division recycling trucks. And again, just like the dump truck, is also worn out after being in service for 15 years and accumulating over 70,000 hard stop-and-go miles. The truck was previously reused for refuse and was repurposed in 2007 for recycling. Although not ideal, it has got us by for the last 10 years for recycling purposes. This truck will be traded once the new truck arrives, as was part of the spec. The proposed truck will be identical to the truck shown in the picture here. This is the truck that was put in service late 2015. It did include a picture here of the 2-compartment Packer body, as was spec'd on the truck that we're just bidding out. One side is used for commingle recycle and one for paper and cardboard. 2 bids were opened on December 12th, 2017. The low bid, which includes the truck complete with the con Packer body, is from, again, Summit Truck Group of Salina at the price of $168,917, and this is after the $10,000 trade-in allowance. Delivery of the truck is expected 5 to 6 months after the order is placed. The fleet replacement schedule in the 2018 budget did include $178,000 for the replacement of the existing solid waste division recycling truck. The low bid of $168,917 is below the budget amount after the $10,000 allowance. This is the one is actually not funded out of solid waste reserve, but new equipment reserve. So make that correction on the slide there. Options are accept the bids from Summit Truck Group, reject all bids, or provide other options. Any questions on the recycle truck?
Mr. Chairman, I move we award the bid of the purchase of a new International 7400 truck with a con 2-compartment Packer body from Summit Truck Group of Salina in the amount of $168,917 after a $10,000 trade-in allowance to be funded out of the solid.
New equipment
out of
reserve.
New
There you go.
equipment.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Schwaller. Any comments?
The fact that the existing, I remember we bought those horrible Packer bodies on, they're double, there's everything, we did everything wrong. And the fact that that truck has lasted as long as it has with that ridiculous double axle and that Packer body, we're very lucky. So again, thrifty pays off in the long run. There's a little bit of hits along the way, but we're going to be much better off for this new vehicle.
The only comment I would make is when I came on as a new commissioner and got to go out and see all the different departments, I was so impressed with everything that goes on in your department, sir. And you do a wonderful job, and I'm sure that's why this equipment has lasted as long as it does. So we appreciate the way you take care of business.
Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Report of the city manager.
I would like to report we received official notice today from SkyWest Airlines that the flight to Chicago is in the booking, United booking system, available beginning April 9th. So to the flying public, the early morning flight, the late night arrival are still roughly the same. The midday turnaround will be a little bit more advantageous for the flyer. It'll happen a little earlier in the day than it did before. And then there'll be a Chicago flight that comes through. There's a flight that leaves Chicago, I believe, at 11:30 in the morning, maybe 10:30, arriving in Hayes around 1:32-ish. And then there's another flight that comes from Denver, stops in Hayes, and then goes on to Chicago, arriving in Chicago a little bit after 5. So beginning April 9th, you can book it on United.com. Melissa's going to be getting with SkyWest to figure out how they're going to promote it and if we can help out with that, and we want to do our best to get the word out. We're pretty excited about it.
You have a lot of things to smile about, don't you, Melissa, here recently?
That was great news. Great news. Thank you, Toby. That's all I have.
Hey, Commissioner Dinkle, any comments?
I knew I was going to get put on the spot, but I couldn't remember when. I just want to thank the people of the city of Hayes for voting for me and giving me this opportunity. I don't take it lightly, and I'm really looking forward to serving with all of these great people on the commission. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Jacobs?
I want to welcome Commissioner Dinkle. It's great to have you on board. I'm expecting big things from you. I also would like to thank Commissioner Musil for his service as mayor. We see the mayor sitting in that seat every week, but you don't understand everything else that the mayor does throughout the year. He spends a lot of time doing a lot of things representing this community, so I want to thank you for that, Sean.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I would also like to welcome Mr. Dinkle. I think it's going to be fun up here. I've got to know you a little bit just I think I first met you at the farmer's market one time. You
Sounds like that, yeah.
Came by or something like that. But, and then when I heard you were running, I think I know that guy. So it was pretty neat. So, I also want to thank, I know we've talked about this, but, the people voting us, giving us 4 more years up here. And thank you guys for allowing me to be mayor the last 16 months, whatever it was. For me, it was kind of I'll try and keep it together here. It was kind of last time my mom was got to be here, and it's just pretty special, and something I'll never forget. So thank you guys.
Welcome, Commissioner Dinkle. You're going to learn a lot very quickly. And our finance director promises you're going to have an audit very soon, city audit, bond council, and insurance report, the trifecta. You're going to learn so much, so we can't wait. You've done an excellent job. Thank you for serving as mayor. Not only that, your family obligations as well. I don't know how many kids you've got, but your business obligations, you've been able to keep it together, and thank you. And again, thanks to Commissioner, well, he'll always be my commissioner, Commissioner Jones. So there.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Dinkle, Commissioner Dinkle. I'm not really sure. Can I just call you Chris? Is that okay?
That'll work.
Welcome. I've gotten to know you a little bit. I think you'll do outstanding, and you'll learn a lot from everybody, just as I did 2 years ago. I'm really glad that you're here. I think we're going to work well together. And thank you, Sean, for all of your service, and thank you for your confidence to go ahead and elect me mayor for a year. It's a great honor, I think, to be the mayor of the city of Hayes. Of course, Hayes is different, and I think maybe even a lot of our own citizens don't realize that the mayor of Hayes is simply a ceremonial position. The mayor does not hold any more power. I cannot veto anything, as you would
Even
think.
if you wanted to.
Even if I wanted to. It is completely ceremonial. You're here to run the meeting and represent the city of Hayes at events and citizen gatherings and things of that nature. So you get a vote just like everybody else, and not above anybody else. I'm simply given the privilege of doing this for the next year. So it is a privilege and a great privilege, and I'm very happy that you guys have instilled confidence to allow me to do it. So, and mostly in the confidence of the voters to have elected Commissioner Schweller and myself 2 years ago. So I'm very appreciative of that. Something I've been thinking about for a while, that I think probably we would have a lot less problems in our state and in our country if everybody would serve the way that our commissioners serve. I think that I hear a politician thrown around a lot, and then I hear people who want to jazz it up a little bit, so then they call you a statesman. And I really think that it's not exactly right either. You're a servant. You're a public servant. You're here to serve the public. And people need to keep that in their head a lot more often. Some who hold higher office than we do, that you're here to serve the public. So hopefully we will all keep that in mind over the next year. And with that,
May I remind you all that I am no longer the newbie?
yeah.
Oh, well, in our hearts, you always will.
No executive session, correct? All right, well then with that, may God bless the city of Hayes. Meeting adjourned.